Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Beyond Whiskey with Perez. I'm your boy Perez. Before I go any further, I want to do one thing real quick. Please, if you're watching this video, hit the like button, subscribe, and comment if you would like to comment. That'd be awesome. Let us know because we're doing something a little different tonight. Tonight I have Devon Trevathan.
Yeah.
I'll just play it. Devon Trevathan.
So fancy.
So fancy, right?
Yeah.
She's the president and co-founder
Yeah.
of Liba Spirits.
Yeah.
I pronounced that right.
Perfectly.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Nailed it.
And so tonight we're going to actually be sampling one of her spirits.
Yeah.
Tell us about your spirit here.
Okay. Sure. Hi. Good to be here. So this is 1643 Alpine Gin. It's a gin that I made in the Austrian Alps. That's why we call it an Alpine Gin.
So her company is what's called a Nomadic Spirits Company. They go to other distilleries and you partner with them.
Well, yeah.
Not necessarily partnering, but
We've gone back and forth on this exact language to use.
Okay.
Because we weren't sure. There's a lot of language is so important in this
Right.
business. The way that you communicate something is really key. So when we started the company, even the use of the word nomadic, that was something that we kind of settled on for ourselves.
Okay.
The concept of what we do, traveling to different distilleries around the world, renting that distillery, but otherwise pretty much acting unilaterally in the way that we produce. I mean, we're happy to have input from the people who run that distillery. We want them to be present, but ultimately the decisions are ours.
Right.
That is not totally new. It's definitely not the norm, and it's not super
Definitely
common.
not the norm.
No,
Right.
because it's a kind of a pain in the ass.
Right.
It's cool, but it's also crazy. Shipping alcohol across states, across countries, is not always easy.
Right.
But when we opted to go with nomadic, that was a choice for sure because there is a history of something similar to what we do, but it has historically been called gypsy distilling or gypsy brewing.
Right.
But we felt like that wasn't really the appropriate term anymore.
Okay.
So we opted to go into nomadic.
Awesome.
And when we talk about the people who own the distilleries that we're renting from, we kind of more say maybe it's really not, unfortunately, a partnership or collaborative in the sense that we don't expect anything from them.
Okay.
But they're definitely friends of ours. They are letting us do something that we really appreciate. They're doing us a huge favor and a huge
Right.
service.
Right.
So I don't know if there's a perfect term, but we
Okay.
rent. We're moonlight distillers.
But that's really cool. You don't
Yeah.
hear about that very often. And how exactly did you decide to get into this?
Well, I started working in the distilling industry back in, 2015?
Okay.
2015 or 2016, early 2016, I think. When I moved back from Taiwan, I had moved there immediately after I graduated college, lived there for about a year, moved back to the United States, moved to Nashville,
Okay.
got a job at a restaurant, and ultimately got a job at a distillery and fell in love with the industry.
Okay.
It was there that I met my business partner, Colton Weinstein. And after knowing each other for a long time, we're very close, we decided that we wanted to do something ourselves, but we did not have honestly, we didn't have the funds. We didn't have the resources as two
Right.
distillery employees, not distillery owners.
Right.
We didn't have access to the kind of capital that it takes to open up a facility because we're talking millions of dollars.
Yeah,
here.
absolutely.
It is no small chunk of change that's necessary.
Right.
So a huge factor was just the financial realities at play.
Okay.
But we'd also both kind of independently been kicking around this idea of nomadic distillation.
Okay.
And it solidified for us when Colton and I took a trip to Australia, actually. So it's interesting that we were just talking about Australian whiskey.
Yeah, right.
We had kind of on a whim, I mean, who takes a trip to Australia on a whim? It was certainly required planning, but we met these Australian distillers at a convention, and they'd invite us to come out and see the Australian distilling scene. They were telling us about it. We didn't even know there was an Australian distilling scene. And so we decided to go, and we found people making these really interesting spirits that tasted super new and innovative because they were using regional ingredients.
That's pretty cool.
Ingredients in Australia, which are very different. The flora and fauna there is very different than ours here.
Exactly.
And so while they were making things like gin and brandy and whiskey, they tasted pretty unique because of the individual ingredients that they were using.
Right.
And we thought that concept was mind-blowing.
That is pretty cool.
We loved it.
That is pretty cool.
We got to try a gin made by a friend of ours out there, Sasha LaForgia. Unfortunately, he's not making anymore, but it was green ant gin.
Really?
They use green ants that they would... God, I remember him telling me about this. They would go out to the bush and they would use basically like a vacuum system to vacuum these green ants out of these trees.
Actual ants.
Actual ants that were still alive. And then they would freeze dry them enough till I think they were either almost dead or dead, but they weren't decomposing, and they would pack them into these bricks basically of ants. And they used them because they found the ants had a taste kind of like a kaffir lime. Would you drink it?
No.
Oh, really?
No.
No?
No.
But
no.
Bugs are the future of food,
I've seen this movie.
Yeah.
Doesn't end well for humanity.
They also...
Soylent Green as people.
Yeah. They also would include 3 to 5 actual green ants in the bottle.
I'd be out.
Yeah.
I'd be out.
Yeah.
I'd be like, hey, what is that?
There's little tiny, 3 to 5 is not enough, It's like little ants.
Right.
You gotta put like 25 in there.
That's bizarre.
Yeah, we brought a bottle all the way back from Australia, and then when we got home, Colton took it. It was in a bag that he had shoes in, and he threw it down his staircase into his basement.
Oh.
And shattered it.
Oh, no.
Yes.
That's terrible.
Yeah.
So then how did you end up in Austria to make this one? And is this the Austrian mountains?
These are the Austrian mountains. So I love that you brought up the label because I don't talk about it enough, and it is really an aspect that I love. But I will start with the Austria of it all. So when we decided to start this business, we knew that we had a cool concept on our hands.
Right.
But if we were going to do it right, we had to come out with a bang. We had to start somewhere that felt a bit more off the beaten path from a spirits perspective.
Okay.
So in Austria, there is a distillery in southern Austria in Gutnach, which is a smallish village near Lienz, which is a slightly bigger village. And it has been run by the property has been in the same family since 1643, which is what we called our gin.
Okay.
Yeah, as a nod to them. So the 2 brothers that currently run it, the 12th generation of the same Coons family.
Okay.
One of them, about 4 years ago, had come to Nashville when I was living there and my business partner was living there. And he had actually interned with my business partner, who was the head distiller of a distillery in Nashville at that time.
Okay.
Called Corsair, which I don't know if you've had any of their whiskeys.
Not sure.
Okay. So he lived with my business partner for like 3 months.
Okay.
Studied with him because the distillery we were working at that time, Corsair, was known for experimental smoking of grain. We did a lot of single malt, but smoked in different ways. We smoked just about every possible tree that you can think of. We built our own smoker. So they really wanted to come. He wanted to come and learn more, and so he came and he lived with my business partner. And then when it was time for us to make something, we were like, coming back and getting you to return the favor.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So you make a gin in Austria.
Yes.
And your rum is made in New Orleans.
New Orleans, yeah.
That's cool.
Love the emphasis.
Thank you.
Or the de-emphasis.
Yeah.
Very regional.
Yeah, I try sometimes.
Yeah.
But
you're from up here?
Yeah.
I swore you're a southern man.
So we'll do the rum another day.
Yeah.
But let's get into the gin.
Because it's interesting because you like this gin.
Yeah, so for those of you watching, I don't like gin. I never have liked gin. I've tried all types of gin, and I have not enjoyed it. However, I was at a tasting event at a local liquor store named Parkway. And
shout out to my boys
and
up? Girls. Yeah.
Yes. And one of the guys that works there, George, is he the manager?
George is the spirits portfolio manager.
Okay.
He definitely manages the spirit side.
Okay. He says to me, Perez, there's a gin I want you to try. And I was like, yeah, I'm good. Like, I'm good.
Not
He was-
into gin.
Right. So I told him, I was like, I don't like gin, I'm good. He was like, you might like this one. So he poured me some, and I smelled it, and I thought to myself, well, hold on a second. That actually smells pretty good. Then I tried it, and it was fantastic. So I asked him to pour me another one, because I was like, there's no way this is that good. And newsflash, it was. And so I was like, well, this is really good. And he said, well, the president of the company's here if you want to meet her. And I was like, well, absolutely. So here she is.
Oh my god. Flash.
So let me ask you another question before we get into it. One more question. You ever get sick of trying your stuff?
No. I mean, there's definitely some times where I'm like, wow, I've had this so many times. Like, I've really consumed this. By far,
Right.
the spirit that I've consumed the most of is this.
Okay.
And also the rum that we've made. But no, I mean, I feel for people who make not great products. 'Cause you really have to drink a lot of it.
It's true.
And I think maybe at the end of the day, Colton and I are just trying to make something that we want to drink all
I
the time.
understand. That's the way to do it.
Yeah.
So awesome.
Cheers.
Give this a little smell.
Yeah, I mean, I understand. It makes me sad. I'm bummed, but I definitely understand when people say that they don't historically have a huge fondness for gin as a category. There's definitely been some not great gins.
So here's what I like about this gin. So a lot of gins that I've had and I've smelled, they don't smell flat. And this is actually, it's lively. Like it's fresh, it's lively. There's a lot of citrus on the nose. You get some of the herbal from juniper.
And also we used fresh rosemary.
And I think that's the difference. Like a lot of places dry their stuff before they
Yes.
sell it. And you guys, it's fresh.
Yeah, even the juniper, which I would say like 99% of gin uses a dry juniper. It's easier to
Right.
transport. It keeps longer. It is the flavor profile that's most associated with gin. But we, being in southern Austria, the distillery we were making this out of was only 40 minutes north of the Italian border. So we were able to get this gorgeous Italian juniper that we got fresh, and we elected to keep it that way because we
Nice.
thought it was just a beautiful character.
And there is some floral notes to this, but it's not overly powerful. It's not it doesn't punch you in the face.
That's all the juniper. We didn't use any actual flowers in the distillation of this gin, which I love. Yeah, there's this really beautiful, elegant, slightly delicate but present
Yes.
floral quality, and that is from the juniper. It's just really, it's very open, it's very green, it's very verdant in a
Yes,
way
very
that
much
most
so.
juniper-based distillate is not, or
Right.
juniper-flavored distillate is not.
Going in for a taste. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cilantro.
Man, that tastes so good.
All right, listen.
That's delightful.
It's been a minute since I had the gin, I guess, on its own, because, wow, it tastes so good.
So on the palate, you get some of those floral notes, but there's some sweetness, but it's not overpowering at all. It's very almost smooth.
Yeah.
Um,
We worked to find a really good balance of the different components that we're
you
going.
did a great job.
Thank you. It's very important to us.
The citrus and the floral actually blend very well on the palate. It's not overpowering at all. You get a lot of those flavors. It's viscous. It coats your mouth really well.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go in for another sip.
I'll say the mouthfeel, a great reason why, like a big factor for that, is that the distillery we were renting the space of and working out of is on a property that's also a farm and an orchard.
Okay.
And so we included into the majority of the base of this is an Austrian wheat based
Okay.
distillate. But we included a little bit of a distillate made from a wild apple, like a crab apple variety that grows on their orchard.
Okay.
Partially because it had this really beautiful like jammy marzipan kind of flavor, but it also had a great texture.
Yeah.
And it really added to the viscosity of the gin.
Yeah, the texture is awesome.
Beautiful mouthfeel.
There's a lot of the aromas translate really well to the palate. There's a heavy citrus influence.
Yeah.
That I love.
Thank you. Love that citrus character.
This is just a fantastic spirit.
Thank you.
And for me to like a gin this much, it's a good gin.
We call this the gin for people who don't like gin. And a lot of people have said that about gins.
100%.
But I don't think I've ever had a gin that I think is more palatable to someone who doesn't feel like they like gin.
Yeah, this is delicious.
Thank you.
I would drink this on the rocks.
Yeah.
With a cigar.
Sure.
I mean, I might do that tonight.
Hell yeah. What cigar are you gonna choose?
I don't know
That's
yet.
gonna be an interesting pairing.
I gotta go through my humidor and see what I think would pair well with this.
Are you doing cigar and spirit pairings?
That's my plan. I'm gonna do that too.
Yeah. Sounds great.
That'll be
like
the
a
beyond
natural
whiskey.
blend.
Yeah.
Part of the beyond.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm really glad you shouted out the citrus character because it is something I'm very proud of. We use lemon and orange, fresh lemon and orange. We got both of those at a Italian market in Verona.
Okay.
And we had to go there. We went there at like 5 in the morning, and we were late. They were already like packing up. It was this
At
huge
5 in the
market
morning?
at 5 in the morning. It's a huge market. I thought when I was told we're gonna go to this Italian market to get their fresh citrus, in my head I was like, oh, romantic, vines on cobblestones and whatever. And but it was not that at all. It was like a huge, many bays, gigantic market where you had to have paperwork to get in, and there was like a person, checkpoint at the front, and there was Italian forklift drivers whipping around inside, and
Nice.
they basically supply fruits and vegetables, produce to a large part of northern Italy, all the restaurants and stuff. So we were able to get these gorgeous Italian lemons and oranges that we brought back to the distillery and peeled by hand, and I think the character is unique because it almost tastes and smells like the whole lemon.
Yeah, very
like,
much so.
You get the oil and the actual outer peel, but you also get like the richness and the pith and everything.
What I like about it's got a pretty nice finish, and on the back end of the finish, you get a lot of that orange. This is it's for a gin. It's complex and it's got fantastic flavors. Baby, what do you think? I know you said it's delightful.
It is. I'm glad to actually hear you talk about what citrus is in this.
Yeah.
Because when he's saying it's citrusy, immediately you think orange.
Yeah.
And I'm not known for picking out specific flavors. But I'm drinking this and I'm going, this tastes lemony.
Yeah.
Like
absolutely.
I'm getting the lemon.
It's a lot strong lemon.
Yeah, and but it's not overpowering. It's really beautiful.
No, it never veers into that pine salt territory.
No,
really
no,
great
not at all.
We're playing around with piney, juniper, and strong
No, the
lemon
rosemary that you said and is
Yeah.
such a subtle under.
Yeah.
But it's so good, especially with the lemon.
We also have nutmeg and black pepper, so there's like a nice spicy
There's a little spice
backbone
to
that
it.
kind of is running through, giving it structure.
There's a little spice, but it's not overpowering spice. You definitely get that pepper a little bit.
I find gin really interesting because it is one of the few spirits where almost entirely, most of the time, you're basically building the structure as well as the flavor. You're building the entire profile with what you're infusing.
Right.
There's typically there's basically no character from the grain or the mother sugar source, whatever you were using. So you're really crafting that with your botanicals.
And with the wheat, it's got a little soft character too.
Soft, it's a nice soft mouthfeel.
It's delicious, guys. It's delicious.
Can't say it better myself.
Would you, if you were a mixer,
Yes.
use the same mixes you would use for other gin, or do you have something that you like to mix it with?
I think it is truly delicious in a gin and tonic, but I am of course gonna say, get a good tonic. It doesn't need to be so crazy, but at the very least, get a fever tree or something like that. But I also have found myself gravitating towards things like a gin and sonic, which is equal parts tonic and soda, so it's not quite as sweet and not quite as strong a flavor as just tonic. And then otherwise, I mean, I think it's great in really simple cocktails. My favorite drink to make with it is a French 75. So it's just an ounce of 1643, half ounce of fresh lemon juice, half ounce of simple syrup, shaken in a coupe or a flute, and then topped with sparkling wine.
Coming soon on Melinda Learns Mixology.
That's right. I like
Are you
it.
doing it?
Yes.
Yes. Hell yeah. That's
Sounds
a great
good.
cocktail.
That sounds
That
delicious.
sounds
And with-
wonderful. We
So
have
good.
that. We will try that.
Yes, absolutely.
And sometimes I like to support my local and do an upstate 75 and use a Finger Lakes sparkling wine.
Okay. Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
What else is there to say?
Oh, do you want to hear about the label? I
Yes.
forgot about this. Okay, so when we were, I think probably deciding on like the packaging, the bottle label,
Right.
has been a much crazier and much harder experience than actually making the spirit in a lot of ways.
Okay.
Because it was just, it's really hard to take your vision of something and then not have the skills to translate it into, you know, actuality yourself. So you have to use and work with other people. It's a great experience, but it's challenging. And in my mind, when we were workshopping this whole concept of the company, I always had this series of labels that were done by a famous wine house from France called Chateau Mouton Rothschild.
Okay.
And starting, I think, back in the 40s or 50s, every year they did a release that they called their Artist Series. And they would invite artists to provide a piece, an original piece, and that would feature on the label, and it would kind of be up at the top, but the bottom would just remain pretty much their standard wine label, and all the necessary pertinent info would be there. So when they were all together, it looked really beautiful because all these different, the artworks had changed and were so different. They had, you know, pieces that were contributed by Miro and Picasso and Dali, I think, at one point, and oh gosh, what is his name? Empire, and the guy from New York, really famous. Anyways,
I'm not an art guy unless it's Bob Ross.
I'm not an art guy either. But they were beautiful, and I always loved the concept of all these different pieces on these labels, making them unique, but having it be a family nonetheless. So that is kind of what inspired our labels, which features a piece of art from a local artist to the place where we made the spirit.
Very cool.
So this guy who made this piece, his name is Hans Selker. He did not speak any English, or he didn't speak any English to us.
Okay.
And we went in there, and he was super nice. But we went in there, and he invited us to come to his studio. We were put in touch with by the guy who owns the distillery, the brother, one of the brothers, Florian, who's wonderful. And yeah, big ups to Florian. He's a doll. He put us in touch with this guy. We went to his studio. He had about 11 pieces that were roughly something like this laid out, and we got to choose.
Very cool.
And we paid him in alcohol.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Oh man.
100%.
Nothing wrong with that at all. Here you go, sir.
Yeah, it was like,
Thank you very much.
Some bottles. We'll take our art now, and I love it. It's old school.
I work part-time at a cigar shop, and we've done a lot of beer fests in this area. A lot of times we pay people in cigars.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm cool with that barter system.
Is fine by me.
Exactly.
I'm very amenable to trading spirits for things.
Yes, I bet. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, that's what we have for you tonight. Thanks for tuning in.
Oh wait, I do want to let your followers, your fans know.
Oh yeah, you have something coming.
Yes.
Okay.
So naturally, the whole point of this company is that we continue to make spirits in different places.
Right.
So we made our gin in Austria, we made a rum in New Orleans, which we'll cover in the future. But we are about to go and make another spirit.
Okay.
In Nashville, Tennessee.
Nashville, Tennessee,
where I got my start.
Is that why you're going there in a couple weeks?
In part, it is great to come back full circle to a place that I used to live, and I'm really excited to make something there. My business partner Colton has been employed doing a long-term consulting contract for a distillery there.
Okay.
He's basically built out a new facility that he's still running, so
Okay.
we'll be making it there.
What's the name of the facility?
It's just a contract facility for Corsair.
Oh, for Corsair,
it's-
okay.
Yeah, so they're going to be primarily only doing large contracts for other people.
Is it going to be a bourbon type whiskey?
Mm-hmm. Well, it is going to involve a bourbon that we make that we then are infusing with a couple of native botanicals and other ingredients from that region.
Really?
And sweetening with some kind of syrup to make a bourbon liqueur.
Ooh.
Yeah. But we're going to hold on to that bourbon flavor because, again, I was talking about this concept.
Right.
Gotten really obsessed with this concept of post-distillation infusion and how oftentimes, liqueurs and everything like that, they use the alcohol that they use is neutral. It has no character.
Right.
And they just do the infusions. I mean, all the flavor comes from that. But we're really interested in using alcohol with a character, with a flavor, infusing a maybe slightly smaller list of ingredients,
Right.
but marrying it to the existing character.
Very cool.
Yeah, so
Very
I think
cool.
it's going to be a really delicious little.
I'm looking forward to trying it.
I can't wait. Can't wait to bring it back.
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
And
You heard it here.
Leave
Something new
Rochester.
coming from Liba Spirits.
Yeah.
She's just looking forward to leaving Rochester. She
Yeah,
just said.
yes.
So.
I am really excited to live in Rochester.
That's
No.
really all it
I
is.
grew up in Florida. No offense to Rochester. I love it here, but I'm still
It's
acclimating.
cold.
It's cold out.
It is cold.
It's cold. Do
It
you
is.
see all that snow flying
Yes.
around?
Yes.
It's still there.
It will be there for the next couple months. So.
That's crazy.
Well, thank you for coming on.
Thank you so much. I had a great
I
time.
truly appreciate it.
Yeah, my pleasure. Anytime.
Ladies and gentlemen, go buy a bottle. Look for the rum, which we will do in another video. And then eventually we're going to have to do this third one.
Yeah.
You heard it here.
Yes.
New spirits coming from Liba Spirits. That's awesome. Thanks for watching. And like I always say, I love most of you.
I love the rest of you.
Listen in.